In Colorado, moose tags are drawn by a lucky few.
12 years of applying, 6 months worth of intense research.
Today on Ruger's Adventures, Jim Schmitt heads to the high country of Colorado for a chance of a lifetime hunt with some of his closest friends.
We made a pact 12 years ago.
And whoever got one first, the other guy would go along and help with the hunt and support him.
But will they help Jim fill his tag on public land?
Beautiful buck.
Rooster! All right.
Look at that thing. Come on. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Ruger's Adventures is brought to you by Ruger, arms makers for responsible citizens. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Burris Optics, just right, hunt like you mean it. You want guns? We've got them. Cheaper than dirt, America's ultimate shooting sports discounter. Ruger Shooting Glasses, protecting the Ruger tradition. And by Crossbreed Holster, the ugliest holster you'll ever love. The famed Colorado moose hunt is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and for veteran hunter Jim Schmitt, it's been a long time in the making.
I can't see right now, but I know that trail, like I said, cuts right through the woods there for a couple hundred yards. I take the truck and just park it up at the top. You'd probably be able to get there with the snow without any problem. I don't think we have to worry about it melting today.
Normally in the month of October during moose season, weather here is 60 to 70 degrees on most days. Opening morning was quite a shock.
It was 17 degrees, cold and snow, wind. It wasn't quite what we were planning on.
I got into hunting at a very early age. Basically, my dad started me deer and pheasant hunting in Illinois back probably when I was 9, 10 years old.
First met Jim probably back early to mid-90s.
Within 1 or 2 years, we became good friends. We started hunting together.
And since then, we've been going hunting together.
We made a pact 12 years ago that whoever was the first person to draw a moose tag, the other person would be along for support.
We applied for the same areas, and whoever got one first, the other guy would go along and help with the hunt and support him.
You can hunt moose by yourself, but to get that moose out of the woods by yourself is an entirely different deal.
Bob should be just down the road and probably less than a quarter mile, so he shouldn't have any problem reaching in. Dark, but just follow that trail, just real slow, 20 yards at a time, man.
Rich, he's been one of my elk hunting partners for the last 4 or 5 years.
I've known the Schmitts since I was 12 years old. They got me into hunting, and it's always been elk hunts.
I hunt with him every year, hunt with Bob every year, and the three of us together have been a real solid elk hunting group for the last couple of years. We chose opening morning to grab a spot on the side of a hill that overlooked a willow swamp and quite a few beaver ponds in the bottom of it. We also had a backup plan. If they weren't in the willow swamp, we'd go into the deep pines, and we would still hunt them in there.
Take out my Ruger Hawkeye, shooting sticks, got a box of shells with me. All right.
We sat on the side of a hill completely exposed to these elements. I think a lot of the hope and spirit of the guys was, it would have been great to see something this morning, but in reality, most times we couldn't see 150 yards or 200 yards in front of us just because of the conditions. So it was a little bit disappointing because of the weather, but on the other hand, it also aided us a little bit later on in the morning. I took a lot of ridicule over the last 12 years about this moose tag. It became a long-standing joke between Bob, myself, and our friends and family We would apply for that tag every year.
The first year you think, yeah, we're gonna get one. The second year, yeah, we're gonna get one.
But we never lost hope. We never lost faith. We kept applying and applying and applying, knowing that eventually that through perseverance, it was going to pay off for us. I received a call from Bob letting me know that the state had just published the draw results.
And I looked and I didn't get one. I saw the sorry.
I took 1 or 2 days before I actually went on the internet and looked up the results for myself. There's the last 3, 4, 5 years it shows unsuccessful, unsuccessful, unsuccessful. And then finally at the top is this code for the moose hunt for this year. And realizing this was going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity for myself. I wasn't going to get another chance to hunt moose in the state of Colorado ever again if I was successful. Right away started planning. On the weekend I was getting up in the morning and leaving home at 3 in the morning. He's spending the day just hammering the woods, going to different spots and doing a lot of walking and covering ground and making notes. Trying to find the home range for the moose, trying to find out where they were living, what they were feeding on that time of year. Starting to narrow down to areas where I wanted to hunt.
Yeah, Jim had found areas where we could all be stationed along the valley. Jim was up kind of high where he could watch the main area. I was off on the other side. Richard was walking back up behind us in some trees. We had the whole valley covered.
And we decided to pick up our tools and head up into the pines.
Coming up, Jim and his team try to make the most of the snow.
That's definitely from last night.
Early in the morning, we're cursing the snow, but later on, the snow ate at us.
Looks like they carry on maybe through here.
Welcome back. Jim Schmitt's been preparing for his Colorado moose hunt for over 6 months.
Jim's really keen on preparation, where to go into the woods, where to come out of the woods, worst case scenario type of stuff. There's not a single person I know that's more dedicated to the sport.
To hunt in the mountainous terrain, Jim must stick to a rigorous workout routine.
I do take a lot of time and I train and I get myself in shape for the hunt. The more I can do in the gym before the season, definitely the easier it makes for me out here on the hillsides.
Jim never says he doesn't feel like going to the gym. He goes no matter what.
The guy's a workhorse. He'll keep going.
Just having that little bit of extra strength and the ability to know that you can take that hill for one more day helps. Keeps you in the woods a little bit longer than the average guy.
Jim's also put in a lot of long hours at the range to perfect his aim.
The gun professor.
When you're hunting moose in the mountains of Colorado, especially in the harsh weather conditions that are commonly found there, you want a gun that not only handles the elements, but is also lightweight and easy to carry. The Ruger M77 Hawkeye all-weather 300 RCM bolt-action rifle with black synthetic stock not only stands up to the cold and snow, but when used with Hornady's 150-grain GMX ammo can deliver a powerful punch. And Jim will definitely need that extra power to bring down a large animal like the Colorado moose.
Unfortunately, last night a snowstorm came in, a big snowstorm, and from our vantage point, we could barely see the swamp that we wanted to hunt this morning. After about an hour and a half of sitting on the ridge this morning, we decided to pick up our tools and head up into the pines and see if we can't locate the moose in more or less in their bedding areas this morning. Yeah, as we were hiking up through the pines this morning, we had located a couple areas where there were some beaver ponds right against the base of some steep pine woods. I think, if I'm not mistaken, when we were here last time scouting, there's like trails that were coming out here that were covered with moose crap. There was a lot of sign coming down to this pond.
Yeah, it's definitely from last night. Here, don't you? That's up there. Yeah. Looks like they carry on maybe through here.
Early in the morning, we're cursing the snow, thinking this has just ruined our morning hunt, but later on, the snow ate at us.
We found another set of tracks that were fresh. We followed them for maybe 10 or 15 yards. After we found them, there was 2 beds there.
There's a lot of tracks right around in here.
And the beds were clean as snow. So we knew we just evidently kicked them out of there.
And what we did then was we started to dog these animals, thinking we were eventually going to get caught up to them.
Until the late 1970s, the only moose in Colorado were strays, and they were few and far between. In 1978, Colorado's Department of Wildlife transplanted a dozen Shiras moose from Utah into Colorado's North Park. And again in 1979, bringing in moose from Wyoming. Today, more than 1,000 moose live in the state. They've grown so dramatically that limited hunting tags are now offered annually via lottery.
I started deer hunting as a young child. What I liked about it was spending time with my dad. As a young boy, I idolized my dad. He basically formed me into the person that I am today. As I went away to college and got married and things like that, I started to do more and more hunts by myself. Always longing at some point to do, a hunt with my dad again. But as the years got on, his health, began to fail, and he's not able to get around the woods so much anymore. So now the days I look forward to are the days hunting with my kids and my family, and that's what means the most to me right now. Now my son Jim, initially I didn't think was going to be able to join me on this hunt. He's a Marine. He's been in the Marines now for 6 years, and he was over in Iraq at the time I had drawn this tag. We started counting the months, knowing that he was going to be in Iraq until more or less October. I was hopeful, but it was one of those things we couldn't really plan on.
It just happened, I came back from Iraq early in September, and they let us take leave during a certain time. And I told them basically, hey, my dad's got this moose hunt. Can we work something out? 2 weeks later, I'm out here. Me and my dad started hunting when I was 12 years old. I just remember just a thrill of going with my dad in the wood, tracking down the animal, and eventually finding it. It's a camaraderie, between a father and son go hunting. It's just, I can't even explain it.
Jim and his team continue to follow tracks in the snow, but with noon just around the corner and no moose in sight, will this act lend them results? Coming up,
We basically followed a small herd of moose down out of the pines.
Bull. It's a bull. The stage is set.
The afternoon, we were able to find fresh tracks, fresh beds, and we got on those fresh tracks and fresh beds, thinking we were eventually going to get caught up to them.
That's definitely from last night. You can tell that's not a cow either.
though you may not be able to physically see the moose, you can still determine the sex of the animal by the tracks it leaves behind, based on the size of the hoof print and distance of stride. Bulls have significantly larger hooves and a wider stride than cow moose.
Then we went up into the higher ground where they go up to bed. We started walking around there. We saw some tracks.
My guess is they probably went in there and laid down in those pines. And it's not their normal bedding area. Almost positive.
We went up into one area where it was kind of swampy and marshy. And we found another set of tracks that were fresh.
We ended up following it for quite a ways.
And it was fresh, so we just missed them. I think what happened was we get too close to them, they heard us, take off, got close, they take off. It was a chasing game, and that kind of played to our advantage later on.
I should have known from experience it's a little difficult to try to dog an animal from behind and catch it, especially one that's got a 6 or 8 foot stride. I had a choice this summer to either do this hunt by myself on public land or go with an outfitter. And I had an outfitter that had given me such a package and such a deal to do this moose hunt. It was a very difficult deal to turn down, but for me, I wanted to have the moose hunt in my hands. I wanted to be responsible for my own success and failure.
It's a once in a lifetime thing, and you want to feel that kind of a sense of accomplishment, like you did it yourself.
So we decided early on that the outfitter route was not the way to go, that we wanted to do this hunt by ourselves. So what I did was I got the commitment from Bob, I got the commitment from Rich, and later on I got the commitment and support from my son.
My dad has always been like that when he's been hunting, that he always wants to do it himself, and that's just the way I am too, If I'm going to go hunting for an animal, you know, I like the feeling that I'm going to accomplish this by myself.
And we put together a team that I knew was going to be able to do this job and do it correctly. And I know it, going in opening morning, I could depend on those guys for anything. No matter what it was going to be, I know that they were going to be there for me. We basically followed a small herd of moose down out of the pines, back down exactly in the spot we were hunting in the morning.
Bull. It's a bull. The one right in front of the pond. I think we're gonna get up. We're gonna find him down here in this evening. Here you go. The stage is set.
So at that point, it was about noon. We decided just not go down and push him, let him sit down there and get comfortable and come back that evening and hopefully find him down there.
After hours of chasing their elusive moose, Jim and his team finally hit pay dirt. But will a break from the action prevent him from getting the animal in his crosshairs before the sun sets? After the break, Jim's hunting party gets back into action.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a bull come walking out.
I saw a big bull moose. I could see him without even the binoculars.
Ruger's Adventures is brought to you by Ruger, arms makers for responsible citizens. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Burris Optics, just right, hunt like you mean it. You want guns? We've got them. Cheaper than dirt, America's ultimate shooting sports discounter. Ram, there are a lot of places to go in this big wide world, and the new Ram Outdoorsman can get you to every one of them. And by Crossbreed Holster, the ugliest holster you'll ever love.
In the afternoon, we had a pretty good idea where the moose were going to be found in Lindsay Creek. So we went back with the same plan that we took in the morning to again position people along the ridge where they could get a good look of the beaver pond and the willow swamps. When I first saw the moose, I had picked up my binoculars and looked at him and recognized it was a bull. But at the time, I also took the rangefinder out and ranged him, and it was over 550 yards, and that's well beyond my capabilities as a hunter. I thought once I got on top of that knoll, I'd be able to see into the willow swamp. And when I got down into the bottom, I could see absolutely nothing. I sat there on that hill as long as I could, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, thinking the moose were going to feed uphill. We had the wind in our favor, everything was seemingly great, but the moose never appeared. So I started feeling a little bit nervous.
So we knew that they were there, and we just can never be in the right place at the right time. We were never at the same spot, you know.
With the sun falling closer to the ground, Jim spotted his long-awaited animal.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a bull come walking out.
I saw a big bull moose. I could see him without even the binoculars.
After my first shot, I was somewhat surprised. I put the crosshair on the bull, and when I fired, it just froze. Usually when you shoot at an animal, they pick up and run, and here this bull is just standing there broadside. And then I fired again, and again I got a reaction where you could tell the animal was hit, but he again just kind of froze, and he turned, maybe walked 5 yards and laid down. And then, of all the things to happen, what steps out but a huge honking big bull.
At the last second, I saw the other moose come out. And the whole time I thought there was just one moose.
And because they were stationed at different points along Lindsay Creek, one by one they filtered in. My son was the first one there.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks. It was great to have all those guys there that night, for sure.
Wow.
Thanks for all your help.
Sure.
I said I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world.
When you finally see that moose, even though it wasn't my hunt, it was Jim's, it was still a sense of accomplishment.
12 years of applying, 6 months worth of intent, research, and efforts, and scouting trips, and all this stuff like that. And here I am standing over to, my first moose on the first day. To have the support from your friends, people that you trust, is one of the greatest experiences of my life. I'm sitting back waiting for Bob to draw his permit now.
Hopefully, maybe I'll get one here in the next year or two. And if that big one's still there, if God's willing, we'll get him.